Hello, everyone. Welcome to the series named Conversation with Kushal once again. Well, today, for those of you who are scared about their campus placements, or for those of you who are scared about taking jobs in the pandemic situation, we have a special guest for all of you, Mehar Sindhu Batra. So, she's a career counselor and a strategy coach as well. She cleared her CA exams and she did her MBA from Imperial College Business School from London. And now she's currently working in strategy consulting firm named Moorhouse, which is in London itself. Thank you so much, Mia, for accepting my invitation and coming up on the show. It's a huge honor for me to interact with you today.
No, thank you so much, Kushal, for having me. It's an honor to be interviewed by you. So, thank you so much for giving me that opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much for your kind words as well. So, Mia, could you brief us about your professional journey, and then we'll take the further questions ahead.
Yeah, sure, Kushal. I think you've already given a brief introduction, but I'll elaborate on that. So, I am from New Delhi, India. I was born and raised there. I lived there for about 25 years of my life, and like any Delhi girl, I also had big dreams of being this professional, and my dad guided me to do the chartered accountancy course, and that's when, along with the BCom from Delhi University, I decided to pursue chartered accountancy. Once I cleared the CPT, I did really well in the entrance exam. I decided to leave my regular college and focus on finishing CA, and so I left my regular college, switched to correspondence, and then I started working hard for my IPCC inter-level exams. And then alongside, I got the opportunity to interview with KPMG, and then started working there shortly afterwards at the age of 20. And it was quite, you know how it is. It was quite a good feeling to get something on your own feet. And then yeah, it took me that journey at KPMG was interesting, exciting, learned a lot of things, but full of ups and downs. I'm sure, like any chartered accountant student's life is. I did not clear the final exams in the first attempt, and that really took a toll on my mental health, my physical health. And then when I finally cleared the exams, I decided to do something different. I wanted to do an MBA degree. I decided to move outside of India to gain international global exposure, and that is why I started applying to universities across the world. And then when I got to London, Imperial College, there was no second thought. That's what was my dream was always. So decided to move here. About I think in 2016 I came for my MBA, and during my MBA I decided to choose subjects other than finance because I had this financial background and I wanted to explore other opportunities, other gain knowledge in other fields. So I chose electives specific to strategy and brand management. And during my time at the MBA, I did a lot of internships with startups. So I worked across London, networked my way through, got to know the ways of working. And then post my MBA, I decided to use my CA consulting experience as well as my, MBA experience in strategy and brand management and helping startups, etc., to join a consultancy that did a bit of both. So my role is more to do with customer and strategy division of consulting at the work I do. And alongside, I decided to help the young students who had similar ambitions and goals and were confused. And that's how I started my YouTube channel and my journey. I'm sure you're on the same page. You want to help people. And yeah, that's how this idea started for me.
Absolutely. So, I think now I have so many questions in my mind after hearing your journey as well. And a lot of CAs also try to get into unconventional roles. So, usually CAs, they want to get into unconventional roles of consulting where you're working in because they think that, like, why to get into taxation and auditing, because we are doing that in articleship phase also. And these are the roles which are now open to these CAs as well. Now you are working in a strategy consulting firm in London.
Hmm.
So could you
Yeah.
briefly share us your experience, like how has it been and like what your work profile is?
Yeah, sure. Kushal, I think some of the learnings that we get in articleship, like I always tell my students, articleship is like a foundation for the rest of your career. It's not make or break. And I think those 5 years at KPMG, before, like during my articleship and a couple of years after that, were really instrumental in shaping my career, in the sense that I did not I'm not saying that I was like leading projects or like making big changes or anything, but the things that I learned, in the sense of my communication skills, dealing with clients, presenting good deliverables, good quality reports, those being paying attention to the small details. Those are the things that I picked up in my experience at KPMG, in my articleship, and that's still something that I do today. In fact, when I was interviewing for this job, my experience at KPMG was what was valued, what was different, because it is a consultancy. So what we do in articleship is also a type of consulting service, because in the sense we are going to clients and we are helping them with their problem, and or helping them with their financial statements or internal audit or taxation queries or whatever it is. So similarly, so those all learnings were applied in my current job. So a strategy consultant is basically somebody who helps organizations either formulate what their strategy should be, their vision should be for the future, or communicating that strategy to within their firm, and or it could be implementing the strategy that's already been set. So my work could be either of those. No day looks the same, no project is the same. So yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And I think you also mentioned the fact that your articleship experience has helped a lot in the work which you do today. So you
Yeah.
spoke about the CA learnings. Now let's talk about your MBA learnings also. So after
Yeah.
your CA, you went into Imperial College Business School. So what are those MBA learnings which you will cherish for the rest of your life, and what are those learnings which is helping you to work in your day-to-day profile?
Yeah, sure. Kushal, I think I always say this. I think no knowledge or no experience ever goes to waste. So whatever we learn, whatever course we do will enhance our career, our personal, professional lives in some way or the other. May not be immediately, but sometime in life you will use that information in some form or the other. So I think in the MBA, what really was different for me is that I pushed myself outside my comfort zone. In a degree like CA, we are just studying on our desks, looking at these thick books all day, looking at classes, watching classes. It's a very theoretical degree, and an MBA was more of like a practical degree, practical way of learning. Sitting in a classroom with people from different industries, different experiences, different parts of the world, bringing in their knowledge, and sharing that in group assignments that we had to do. So I think my learnings from the MBA that I applied today is basically pushing myself outside my comfort zone, presenting an idea that I have to people, or I think it was like a finishing school. It was like a polishing degree, and that's what an MBA taught me to do. It helped me network with people. It helped my communication skills became stronger. I started thinking about things from a strategic angle and not just the bookish knowledge. So that is the kind of learning that an MBA gives you.
Right, get it. So basically, the most important point was that you move out of your comfort zone once you enter an MBA college, which is usually not possible if you're doing CA, because that is more like a theoretical thing, and you should definitely have some amount of practical exposure in order to move yourself out of the comfort zone. Completely agree with you on this as well. Now, following up on this particular question itself, so you worked as a strategy consultant now, and we've also discussed about your work profile. How does it work? Now, according to you, what is the world of academia and the world of practical world? How is it different? So basically, people say that academics and practical world, these are completely different. The problems which we face in our practical life, they are like more difficult and they are more challenging as well. So what are your thoughts on this? How is the world of academia different from the real world?
I think I completely agree with you, Kushal, because when we are studying, we can only know so much. But once we start doing it, is when we actually learn the nitty-gritties of that profession, of that job, of that profile. So I get a lot of questions from students saying, "Oh, I've read I should do this, or I've read that this will be a good profile." You can't know until whether you like this job or not until you actually go and experience it. So there are only some things that bookish knowledge can teach us. Like, okay, we'll have that at the core of our mind, like we'll know what it is, but how we're going to apply that knowledge depends upon the situation we're in. I always say, like, our personality and our personality gets developed on the job. So things like, how do we report to a boss, how do we work in a team, teamwork versus meeting deadlines. So all those things, all those challenges come up on a daily basis. But yes, of course, it's important to have strong theoretical knowledge to back that up. So sometimes you may come across some problem that a client is facing with. If you had read something similar in maybe a book, or something, some other case study that you may have read, you'll be able to remember that in that moment. You'll just do a Google search and just clarify if you're thinking on the right track, and then present that to the client. So of course, knowledge is academia is very important to have a strong basis. Also increases your confidence. I have completed this degree from this university or whatever it is, and then that using that you have to apply it every single day.
Right, get it.
I
Thanks
hope
for
that
that.
makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks
Okay.
for that wonderful answer. Now, you've worked in London as well, and you've also done your articleship in India. So, asking about the difference between working in India and working in London. So, how different it is to work in India as compared to working in London in terms of like work culture, work environment, the overall working hours, and everything. So, how different was it for you to transition?
Sure, Kushal. I think this is a very, it's different for different people. So I'll just share my perspective. I hope people
Sure.
don't get offended with, what I have to say. But everybody's experience is different, and I'll share just my journey. I've brought this up a couple of times in the sense I think the work culture in India is very, it's very competitive in the sense, there are so many people around us that we're easily replaceable. Like, that's the mentality at least the big four have.
Right.
And we just think they just think that, okay, I'm going to make this person work so much, and this person should be clocking these number of hours at the job to be considered as a good employee. Whereas that is not the case in London. What I have experienced here is that if you are working smartly, you don't need to be working late. If you have finished your work in, let's say, 5 hours, you can take the rest of the day to focus on your personal development, to focus on some internal project or some other project. It doesn't have to be, okay, no, if she's not working 12 hours a day, that means she's not a good employee. So
Right.
that is one difference that I saw. Like, in work culture is different in the sense, there is a lot of work life balance aspect here. It is not so much in India. Like, I remember when I used to fall sick, like call in for a sick leave, people used to doubt me that, okay, is she actually sick? And here people are so concerned about your health. That, yeah, don't worry about it, we'll pick it up for you, don't stress, just take the day off. So I think that kind of valuing people having a life is the difference that I see, a drastic difference.
Right.
Secondly, I think here people are firstly, I think there's a lot of diversity, because in a city like London there are people from all over the world, right? So they want to learn about your background, your knowledge, your experience, and also want to know what you bring to the table. So they want to hear your idea. They want to like how, because everybody's journey has been different, so whatever they've done before in their life could be valuable to this project, for example. So they want you to speak up, they want you to share the information you have in your head. Whereas in India, sometimes I felt like, it could be a little biased, and some people who may be from small towns would not get an opportunity, or girls would not sometimes be put on a project because it would be long hours, or it would be not expected that a girl could do that project. So I think, like, racism, sexism is something that I've not faced here, whereas there were times then when in India I there were situations where I felt that.
Get it, get it. I think it's very important also to have an employee involvement kind of a thing in any kind of organization, because once you treat your employees as a part of your extended family, then he's going to give more than 100%. That's the
Definitely.
most important thing, which even I have realized. And that is ultimately going to lead to an organization being successful and being sustainable in the long run. Yeah.
Definitely. An organization is all about its people, and if they don't care about its people, it's not going to
Right.
survive too long.
Absolutely. Now, like we've been hit by this pandemic and this uncertainty is going around of this COVID-19. A lot of students are scared, like whether they would be able to get jobs in this COVID market. And they think that because of COVID crisis, companies have freezed hiring and they won't be able to survive, or they won't be able to get jobs in very good companies like any other company, multinational
Hmm.
companies, or any big four or mid-sized firm as well. So what are
Mhm.
your thoughts on this? And do you really think that this COVID pandemic has affected the job market? And if yes, how can a person deal better in terms of getting jobs in a job market?
Okay, that's a very valid question, especially for times like right now, Kushal. And I completely agree. Of course, yes, everybody's life, personal, professionally, has been affected. I think we just have to use this time to actually reflect on what we want from our career, what we want from our life. Because I was reading an article, I think there were like 50-60% people in the Western world at least have pivoted their careers completely, during this time. So it has given them time back to think, actually, what do I want from my life? Am I in a job that makes me happy, or what am I wasting my time? So I think use this time. Number one is, I think, use this time to actually understand, are you on the right career path? Is this where you want to be 5 to 10 years from now? And like using this extra time to do maybe some other skills, picking up other skills in another different field. Maybe if you're in financial analyst, if you're in financial analysis, or you want to get into helping clients with their strategy based on data, maybe you can do a course like learn about Python, R. There are other courses out of your comfort zone. Or maybe you're in a completely like a financial field and you want to learn about marketing, pick up a course on digital marketing. So I think this is a time when we can really explore our options and see if there are other things we can add to our profile, in the sense, just so that you show the employer that you're a well-rounded personality. You use this time to actually grow as a human, to grow your skills. So that's number one. And I think secondly, Kushal, because the pandemic has led to a massive digital transformation, right? We are all using these apps that existed for a long time, but we weren't using them. Like Zoom, it's a company which is like, what, 5-7 years old, and we've only started using it now. So it's just made things easier for us. Everything is easier. Like you and I are sitting opposite sides of the world, and we're still having a conversation as if we're sitting next to each other, right? So I think the future is for people who adapt to this technology quickly, and using the best of this time to upskill ourselves and learn more about these digital platforms, digital tools like Power BI, Tableau. These are the skills that we need to pick up, and I think preparing yourself for the future, because digital is going to stay. So it's going to be probably like a hybrid model now, where people work from home a couple of days, they go into the office a couple of days. So I think we have to be adaptable, upskilling ourselves constantly, and preparing ourselves for the future.
Right.
That's my
completely agree. Yeah, completely agree with you on this. So speaking about the next interview preparation tips, now like that is also one of the trending topic, because people think that people feel that they lack communication skills, and I think communication skills are one of the most important skills which is tested in any interview or in any group discussion, also in any form of test which a company is going to do in an organization. So what are some of the tips which you would like to give to all the viewers, like how can they improve communication skills and how can they ensure that they do well in their interview? So what are some of the interview preparation tips which you would like to give?
Kushal, I think couple of things I always say, and I'll just say them again. And I think I completely agree with you. I think, if you compare two people giving an interview, there may be one person who has all the right knowledge, and there may be one person who has maybe 50% of the knowledge, but is communicating their ideas properly and, is showing confidence more than that first person. Of course, you'd want to hire the second person, because you will believe in them more. So I think we have to really use this time, like this extra time. And if we have an interview coming up, really preparing who we are, our story, writing it down, saying it out to ourselves again and again in front of the mirror, maybe recording ourselves on our phone and watching where are we getting stuck, and what are the things that we can say better, maybe speaking to our family about our experience. And I think it's just like with practice, your communication skills become better. So maybe you won't be able to do it the first time very well, but if you keep practicing till your interview, maybe 2-3 times a day, it will, by the time you reach that interview, it will be at the tip of your tongue, on your fingertips. Like it'll literally just flow like a normal story. Like you've taken so many interviews, right? So maybe the first time you took it versus now, you've actually practiced your way through. Similarly for me, I was fumbling at my first interview, but now it's become easier for me because I have said it so many number of times. So if you and I can do it, anybody can do it, right? So I think it's just about preparing, practicing very well, communicating your skills, your achievements in a way that the employer would want to hire you. So, everybody's worked on many projects and done different things, but what were the achievements for you? Where did you show leadership skills? What was different that you did? Like that's what the employer is interested to know. What is this person a leader? Is this person a team player? Is this person going to be an asset to me, to my organization? So whatever experience you have, make sure you communicate that in form of achievements. That's very important, I think. So yeah, I think practice what your story is, practice it every single day, and pay attention to non-verbal communication also, especially if it's like a virtual interview, making sure that you're dressed up properly, you're sitting up straight, your posture, your hand gestures are positive, making sure your background is clean, on all those little things that you have to pay attention to also is important. Like dressing the part is important, eye contact is important, so verbal and non-verbal communication are both go hand in hand.
Right, absolutely. And by practicing what your story is, do you mean that you like we should practice in front of a mirror and speak something about our story, or would you mean that we should just like keep ourselves updated with what is happening and what our story is? So, could you elaborate on that point?
I think it has to be a bit of both, Kushal. So first of all, like the first round is also always mostly with the HR, right? So the HR is going to like test your communication skills, your confidence, whether your CV aligns with what they're looking for. So you have to firstly know your CV in and out, like top to bottom, like what is your experience, and things that may not be on the CV, you should be able to communicate properly. Because a CV is like a one pager. Your experience is way more than that, right? So make sure you know what your experience is. And secondly, yes, of course, you should be knowing a couple of things going on in your industry, because an interviewer can ask you anything anytime, right? So you should be knowing, let's say you're entering the e-commerce industry, and let's say you're from India, but you want to apply to the UK in an e-commerce company. They probably ask you, okay, what are the trends in e-commerce going on in India, and you should be knowing the top 5 things going on in your industry, in your country, related to that. Or they could ask you, okay, what do you think are the e-commerce trends coming up across the world? So whatever is your industry, whatever is your niche, make sure that you are well aware of what are the top 5 things going on, and how have, and maybe you can also think of your opinion on that. Like you asked me a
Right,
simple question right now, which is how has the pandemic changed, and I quoted a couple of articles I read, but then I gave my opinion also. So I think it's about
right,
quoting your knowledge and then adding a little bit of your perspective on it.
right. Get it, get it. And since you're speaking about interview preparation tips and CV, which is a one-pager document, in one of your Joe's talks, which I was listening to, so you had mentioned that it is very important to have customized resumes in all the companies where you're applying. So I was also astonished when I'd heard this because I had applied the same resume in every company where I had gone. So why is it important to have customized resumes for each and every company? How, like, what difference does it make?
Of course. Kushal, by customization, I didn't mean like it looking different, or like some formatting changes, or no. I meant like really understanding what is it that this employer is looking for. Like reading
Okay,
the job description, looking at other people's LinkedIn profiles who are in the same profile. What are they doing? Maybe reaching out to them on LinkedIn and asking them, what is your job all about? I would love to learn about your career journey. And then let's say they say ABC. Maybe you've not done ABC, but maybe you've done mini ABC in some capacity in your life, right? So it's about highlighting what that employer is looking for in your resume, and not copy pasting the same thing for every application, because every organization is different, and everyone's values, every company's values, history, mission, vision is different, right? So you have to make sure that you somehow bring that across in your cover letter, in your CV, just to show, okay, yeah, this is the right fit for this organization. This person is the right fit for my organization. I should call them. Like when I was interviewing for my current my startup, that MSB Vision, I was looking for an intern. I wasn't looking at what degrees do people have. I was looking at the way they've communicated it to me. Have they made an effort to showcase what I'm looking for in their CV? Have they written a nice cover letter in the email they've sent me? These are the things that employers really, really pick up.
right. Get it, get it. And like one of the most important skill also is to learn the skill of networking. As you also mentioned that you should reach out on LinkedIn to as many people as possible. Try to ask what is their work profile, how is it to work in your organization. So this is a very simple example of networking with people. But nowadays, what happens is that people are too shy to talk to strangers, or maybe too shy to reach out to people because they'll feel that what if I ask something wrong? What if I ask something silly question to him or her? So it's very important to learn the art of networking. How can one master the art of networking so that even he is benefited in terms of prospering in his career?
Wonderful question, Kaushal. I think networking is something that even I wasn't comfortable doing, before I moved to London, because in India, I didn't get that kind of exposure of actually networking with people. And here, when I moved here, I understood, okay, LinkedIn is a powerful tool and it's completely free, that we don't really, put to use in a proper way. So I think if you're having those negative thoughts of, that why should why will this person help me? Or, if I ask a stupid question, first of all, I think we have to remember that most people want to help other people. I would say,
Right.
I think 70 to 80% people want to help other people. The others who don't will probably not reply to your message. But out of out of 10 messages that you may send, you will get messages, replies from at least 5 to 6 to maybe 7 or 8 people
Right.
at times.
Right. Right.
So just remind yourself, like, if I was receiving this message, I would probably want to help that person. So similarly, someone who's maybe 5 to 10 steps ahead of you may just want to help you. So don't feel shy that, okay, why would this person want to help me? This, just take the plunge and actually send the message, and max to max, what will go wrong? They won't reply, or they'll say that
Right.
they don't want to help you. That's the maximum that can go wrong, right? And that much of a risk we should be willing to take. Like, it's okay if somebody doesn't want to help me. Not everyone's going to be similar to us, not everyone's going to be helpful, not everyone's going to be polite, and that's fine. But at least there will be some other people out there who may want to help us. So I think what happens is that we send maybe one message and we don't receive a reply, then we stop sending messages altogether. That's not how it works. Networking is about doing it in bulk, I want to say, and then filtering out who are the people who are actually going to help you in your career. So let's say sending 20 messages a week, receiving replies from maybe 8 people or 10 people, and then maybe meeting a couple of them for a coffee or a virtual chat like this, 5 to 6 people, and then maybe narrowing down to 1 or 2 people who may become friends for you, who may become your mentors, who may become people you reach out to when you need help or when they need help. And also, we have to remember that networking is not a one-way street. It's not going to be, okay, this person has to help me, I should ask for help. No, it has to be a mutual relationship, mutually beneficial relationship. Today they help you, tomorrow you may want to help, you may have to help them. So that's what we have to remember. It's not like just take. It's a give and take relationship. So I think we have to remember that, and push ourselves out of our comfort zone just a little bit to send those messages, and expect a reply, and then take it as it comes from there.
Right. Yeah, that's a wonderful answer. And I think with this attitude only, I sent you an email, and I was fortunate enough that you replied to my email. And today I'm having a conversation with you. So yeah, thanks for that. I think it was a wonderful conversation with you. Thank you so much for taking out your time. A lot of students are going to get a lot of value addition in terms of getting into any company and preparing for their interviews as well. Any last message which you would like to give to all our viewers?
I think, to all your viewers, I would just say, keep watching Kushal's page and channel. He's doing some fantastic
Thank you.
stuff.
Thank you.
And secondly, I think, Kushal, I didn't have such kind of, when I was in my CA journey, when I was a young student, and I didn't have such pages like what you're doing, what I'm doing, I didn't have that support. So I think it's very important to use these to advantage, these tools, and actually implement the things that we're listening to, because, we are people who have experienced these, these things, and we can share that with other people. So make sure whatever you interview, you listen to, or whatever knowledge you gain from other people, make sure to take 1 or 2 points that you will use in your life and implement them. I think that's what the world is all about. It's using everyone's knowledge and then applying it to ourselves. So I really hope that all your viewers are people with growth mindset, and they want to keep learning and keep growing. And success is not far away if you keep doing that.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your motivating words. I mean, it's going to boost a lot of CA aspirants as well as the young qualified professionals. Thanks a lot once again, Mehar, for your time, and wish you all the best for all your future endeavors. Indeed, like, you have a bright future ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kushal. It was wonderful meeting you. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise.